Okay, let's get into the Pecron 5000 LFP and how has it worked for me so far.
This is going to be a review of the Pecron 5000 LFP.
Welcome to Fantasy Adventure! Are you subscribed yet? If not, my mom says you should be.
All right, for starters, the delivery waiting game. Our Pecron was being delivered via FedEx, and mysteriously, even though I was home, I missed both delivery opportunities. I had to call, they came out, and we were able to get and sign for the package. But I had to check it out, make sure there was no damage before I signed for it. It did take on some damage on the outside, so I was hoping and praying that this thing was packaged very well. The delivery weight is about 135 pounds. The damage on the outside of the box during delivery had no bearing on the inside product because Pecron did package this very well. You'll see here that is the casters and the trolley on top that the unit will sit on top of. So again, packaged very well. This is a purchased item, not a sponsored video. But if interested, I do have an affiliate link in the description area.
So for size reference, this thing looks really small in the box, but I put a quarter in the left-hand corner to show, I guess, the top of it. Here's my hand, so I'll put the measurements in later. Now, I'm not a very techie person, nor will I pretend to be for this video. But what I will do is show the specs of this product. The general information, the battery capacity, and the output ports and the input ports information. So allow me to girl-splain this solar unit, how it performs, what products I use in a real-world situation. What's in that case? The Pecron case, we have the user manual for the dolly, your unit user manual. You can also, they have brackets so that you can anchor this to the wall if you wanted to have like a mega system where you're going to attach them together. Your warranty card to tell you how to do that, support, all that good stuff. And you have the big plug. The big plug. Let's girl-splain that. That would be an RV plug or a plug that you could plug your household dryer into. These, we think, because it didn't actually tell us what was in here or what this was for, these are legs. I think it's to make this system that's on wheels to make it just stable because there's no holes underneath here to put these into. But as you can see, it's just their feet. So we're assuming it's for this rolling cart. You have your plug to plug into your house outlet. These are brackets. I imagine that goes with this guy. This little screw. This is what we use to put this little dolly together. And then you have your MC4 connectors. You have 2 of those. That's what came in this case. And it does zip. So this part will zip and then it'll close up and that's what you get. That's what's in there along with these manuals. So here's some of the products that I'm going to be testing out for this video. I'll let you know what the watts are and what the runtime is. So we're going to go through that, and this is what helps me. I'm a visual person. This is how I'll know if this unit is going to work for me. What's not pictured is my Bouge RV refrigerator. So we're wall charging it right now, and that's the wattage that it's pulling in. And it's already at 91%. So it'll be done in 34 minutes. The app. I'm going to try and show this. And that is showing on the app what it's doing. So we have the AC on. Let's turn the AC off. Well, you know what? Let's turn DC on. And we're using the app still. Let's turn AC off, and then it already did it. We're going to turn DC off. And you see the screen just went off. We'll turn it back on. DC popped on. AC popped on. And now you'll see those circuits going through. So that's just some of the features of the app. So that's our menu. It looks like whatever you can do on the app, you can do on this unit.
This is where you'd find your information on additional batteries you've added to this unit. Okay, so let's test drive this puppy. Let's start out with a power hog. We're gonna go with the EcoFlow Wave first generation.
It's set on to 62% Fahrenheit, and I can adjust the fan. There's also a fan, how it blows out. And then what we have over here, obviously how we adjust that will affect the time frame. So right now we're looking at 11 hours and 40 something seconds to run this unit. I think that's pretty good. I think the highest that I saw the wattage was 380. So as of right now on this speed, and right now it's saying it's 59, we're going to turn this down. Obviously, the more energy that you consume, the faster it's going to deplete your solar. But I'm going to say I'm pretty happy with that. I know that I could run this EcoFlow Wave, the first generation, for 10 hours. I'm going to say that is a success. We can say safely, depending on what our settings are on.
Okay, so let's try some heaters that have different watts.
Okay, so I have 3 different heaters. It has 2 settings, and it's pretty small if you can see the size of that based on my hand. But it's pulling 177, 76. It's kind of fluctuating back and forth. But as you can see on the small setting or on the low setting, so on the low setting, it will run for 18 hours and 25 minutes. So let's turn it up. Okay, here we go. Now that is now up to 437 watts. So obviously the lower one was pretty good. So I would definitely want to keep this one on the low. I'd get a lot more time. Let's turn it back. So that's just like a nice heat coming out. And then the time should jump back up because we're back up to 170 something watts. So to be able to run this in your car or in a van or in a small room, you'd be doing pretty well. We have used this heater. Now we're going to go with this one. This little heater, there's our wattage. It's Mainstay brand. So we're no longer running this one. We just have this one on. And this one only has 1 setting. The other one had 2. So I definitely would not want to use this one. It does feel pretty good. But this one is like this one on high. So I'm going to say I would use this as a backup, but I would definitely, for energy consumption, I would go with this one for sure. I don't know the name, the brand of this one. Is just a very generic one, but I definitely, this little guy, and I mean, and look at the size of that. You would think that these wouldn't pull that much power. So that one's at 282, fluctuating a little bit here and there. But it looks like, you know, we'd probably get, you know, a good 12.5 hours just using this guy. This is our final heater that we're going to use. Here's the specs on that. So right now, that is what we're currently working with. There's no output, and we're going to turn this puppy on. It does have different settings on it. So the first one is fan. Let's try fan. So this is just fan. This is a fan and a heater. And it actually does give, you know, a decent amount of air. All right, so for this fan, it shows it's not really pulling many watts. Why? It says 0. I don't know why it's showing 0 watts. That's interesting. But on the current fan mode, it would run for about 80 hours. Let's turn it up. Turn it up to 1. So now we got it on the first heat level. Now it says it's pulling 599 watts. We're already down to 6 hours and 10 minutes. And that's for this guy. Here's my hand basically for size reference. 594. We have the screen set on 3 minutes. So that is the first heat. Let's go to second. We have a total of 3. Okay, now it's pulling 881. And we're down to 5 hours, 5.5 hours for this guy on the second level of heat. I'm almost afraid to put it on the highest. And that's with the battery at 93%. We're at 4.5 hours for the second heat level. All right, let's go the highest level, 3. We're pulling 1,436 watts. We're only going to get 3 hours and 30 minutes basically out of the highest level. It's kicking out a good amount of heat though. I mean, this thing is actually really warm. For size comparison, there's the difference between the 2 heaters. This one's not plugged in. As you can see, this is just this one. But now we're looking at basically 2.5 hours for the most part. So I definitely would not want to use this black heater with this system for sure in the van. And it does have different settings. So there is a max. I didn't even have it all the way up. So there's heat levels. So there's speeds. Let's test out one of my USB fans. And this one has different things with lights and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to try that. Here's the specs for that fan. And we're going to plug it in. Let's turn off AC. Now we got DC. So now the fan has started to charge. But let's turn that fan on. Oh, that's giving off a good breeze. This fan also has lights, but let's see where we are with that. So to run this particular fan, which gives off, I have it on max speed now. So now it's on max speed. Run the fan for 450 hours and 49 minutes.
It's using 9 watts. Let's try. That's with the lights, different settings. Now it just went up to 10. Has different settings of lights. So basically it's using 9 watts. So 9 watts gives us 346 hours and 46 minutes. I'm gonna call that one a win. So it's running off that, and it's charging its own battery, because this does have a built-in battery, so it does store energy. Let's put this into perspective. To run this fan on high, and it says 450 hours and 48 minutes. That would be 18 days and 10 hours to run that fan if that's all we were running. But we're going to add some stuff to that. All right. Very good. Right now, I have a whole bunch of little dashes. So I have one that you put eggs in. This one is a waffle maker. And here's the specs for this little dash. All right, so the dash is on, lights on. And it's using 346 watts. We could run that puppy. We could make waffles for 10 hours. So that's fun. 10 hours of waffle making. Let's do this and make it interesting. So we know we can run this for 10 hours at 350 watts, but it's pulling 347. Let's turn the DC back on. Remember this fan. So what we're going to do is we're going to start running multiple things. Since we're making waffles, it's going to get hot. So now we have 2 things going. It's only pulling 6 watts. That's impressive. 6 to 7 watts. Let's turn the fan up. So I have the fan on max speed, and it's pulling 8 watts. I'm really impressed with that. 10 hours. It really didn't change plugging the fan in. I'm really happy about that fan. Let's move up to a higher wattage cooking item. All right, let's start this new wave. Okay, I got the little small cast iron pan on here. Use my hand as a reference. Right now it's pulling 620 watts. That's about 6 hours. And I have that on medium high, but so it's on medium high. That's 600 watts. Let's bump it up to 900 watts at 375. And I don't know who's cooking on a pan for 5 hours. We are going to add my beverage warmer. Now, as you can see, that's starting to get pretty hot. Let's add a little water to that. Oh, yes. And I'd be keeping my coffee warm, because that's, I think, pretty realistic. You would be cooking something, and you may have a couple of things going, warming up a beverage, and it looks like we would have 4 hours. But let's say I have to charge my phone. So right now I have the phone just popped on, that's charging. We have the new wave, and we are keeping a beverage warm. As of right now, that would be 4 hours and 7 minutes, pulling 892 watts. I'm going to call that a win. Constant that I'm always going to have plugged in is going to be my fridge. Now right now this is already in freeze mode. So I already have some stuff in here. This is a Bouge RV 23 quart fridge. So we're going to plug this puppy in.
All right, so we got that plugged in. That is now on. Because it is at, I have it at 0 degrees, it's currently not pulling anything. All right, I had to lower the temperature in order to get that to kick on. So, I'm impressed with that. It's pulling between 46 and 48 watts. And remember, this is for a 23 quart fridge in freeze mode. When this unit is in the van, it's going to be connected to solar. So this is without having any power going into this unit. So as of right now, looks like I'd be able to run this fridge with no power coming into this unit. I would be able to run that for 54 hours.
But in a hot vehicle, it will have to work harder to maintain that temperature.
It's going to cycle on and off.
Ultimately, using more
once it reaches
power.
that temperature. So I'm going to wind up doing some examples of what it is, what this will pull on a 12 volt. And that would also be for the fridge. So as we know right now, it's pulling in 51, and I would have basically, we said about 50 hours. But that is on AC. So we want to know what that's going to be on DC. Now I had to plug it in here. It doesn't have your regular conventional 12 volt that you stick right in. So we're going to put that puppy in here, and let's turn on the DC power. Okay, just heard the fridge pop on. So it's adjusting. The compressor did pop on. I'm going to see how much it gives us now. Before we were in the, 61 hour range. So let's see how much of a difference this makes. Let's turn this off. It looks like it's pulling 44 watts. The compressor is on. And it looks like I could get 106.5 hours out of this. That's impressive. From 61 hours to 106. So for me, that's a no-brainer. I would definitely use my 12 volt to power this fridge. So we're going to call that a win. Now, I don't travel with a microwave. I will use things like this 12 volt mug. And I wanted to see what that would pull. That says 31 watts. And that would be in the DC output. And as you can see, that would be, I could warm this up for 153 hours. So I'm going to say that's definitely going to be a win.
Let's try the pot next.
Let's do this pot that's 12 volt. Now that's pulling a lot more watts on here for the DC. So I can't even imagine if it was on AC what that would be pulling. So that would go for 28 hours and 9 minutes. I do have a lid to this, and that's about how big the pot is. But I could definitely use this to warm things up, to cook things. It doesn't have settings on it though, so it only gets to one temperature. I'm going to consider that a win also.
Dun, 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 dun. Power tool time.
We're going to use this drill, see how much power this pulls, because I'm curious. Here we go. All right, so that was on full power. Yeah, about 27 hours. Pretty impressed with that. I wouldn't need to use a drill for 27 hours, but obviously when you have other things plugged in, you know, that's gonna make a difference.
As luck would have it, I was having a meetup and decided this would be the perfect opportunity to take this out and really test it while I was out on the road. I am happy to report that the Pecron did work as tested. I did get an electric sight just in case. And I did plug it in to top it off, and I noticed that when I flicked the 20 amp, it did not even move any kind of power into that unit. Once I clicked the 30 amp, then it did start charging. So charging at the state park, it was pulling in 854 watts, and it had an hour and 25 minutes to go. Now here's where I say thank you so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed, please think about it. Also, put those notification buttons on because I still have tons of videos to do. I will be doing our top likes and dislikes of the Pecron F5000 LFP, as well as this meetup that I was at this state park. So there's going to be tons of videos, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. And happy Memorial Day. I hope you're out there being safe and having a great time. Bye for now.